Martin Luther said that music is a fair and glorious gift of God, which it most certainly is. And during this time of year, I want to pause to give thanks for the incredible musicians we have here at St. Philip the Deacon and talk about why it's such an important part of the Advent and Christmas season. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. Good to be with you as always. We are taping this between the second and third weekends of Advent. This year, by the way, Advent's a little messed up. Well, I don't know if that's a fair thing to say, but it's different because what would typically be the fourth Sunday of Advent is actually Christmas Eve. So churches have been responding to that in different ways. Some people backed Advent up. Some places like us are actually, I guess you could say, we're skipping the fourth Sunday of Advent and simply having a number of Christmas Eve services. In any case, I'm thinking about the service we just had this past Sunday on the second Sunday of Advent, which at St. Philip the Deacon was our service of lessons and carols, which is, as it suggests, a service filled with readings and a lot of music. And next weekend, the third weekend of Advent, we have our brass quintet in residence, the Stone Arch Brass, joining us for music. And so given that we just had a Sunday filled with music and we're anticipating our dear friends from the Stone Arch Brass joining us for music, I kind of have music on my mind. And of course, we find ourselves in the Advent season anticipating Christmas. And for me at least, I can't imagine this season without music of all kinds that sort of inform the story of the season, that help us to celebrate it, help us think about the meaning and so forth. So I want to do a couple things today. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone at St. Philip the Deacon who makes our music program, our music ministries, so incredibly exceptional. And I'm going to do something I don't like to do because I don't want to forget anyone, but I'm going to mention a few people, and I pray I'm not forgetting anyone, but I'm thinking, for example, of Sam Grace, our director of music, who conducts all of our choirs and plans our worship. I'm thinking of Craig Winchittle, who's our incredibly gifted and talented organist. He also runs our contemporary service. He assists with the choir, and he conducts our bell choir, now in its second year. So I thank all of the people in the bell choir, the SPD ringers. I thank our vocal quartet, who perform in all kinds of ways for us, week in and week out. I thank Nora Long, who's been with us for a long time. She cants on Saturday night. She's our cantor on Saturday nights and plans our Saturday night worship. And she's doing a lot of other really innovative teaching, both with adults in our community around the issue of music or the context of music, and also with our elementary and pre-K children on Sunday mornings. So Nora has been with us a long time. I give thanks for her. I thank Aaron, who plays the piano most Saturday nights. I mentioned the Stone Arch Brass. They're our brass quintet in residence, and they're awesome gentlemen, as well as Steve Kimball, who often comes and plays percussion with them. And our 1045 musicians, I guess I should mention them, Chris and Hope, and our bassist and our drummer. Chris Marshall is a bassoonist with the Minnesota Orchestra who joins us periodically. Linda Chatterton and Julie Johnson, our flautists, who are with us periodically. Oh, and then all of our choirs, our sanctuary choir, and then a bunch of different youth and children choirs. We are blessed beyond imagining with incredible riches related to music, and to say nothing, by the way, of our incredible sanctuary, which puts music on display so beautifully. We have a gorgeous organ. Just last week, we had the second installment in the Herald Music series, which we just kicked off this year, and which we launched in part to celebrate the incredible gift of music. So here in a full house, we had the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, truly one of the premier chamber orchestras, not only in Minnesota or in the country, but in the world, performing in our sanctuary. It's just amazing. And we've actually got another concert in the Herald Music Series coming up with Cantus Vocal Ensemble on next week. And we'll link to the Herald Music Series, I guess, below. So again, to everyone here at St. Philip Deacon, whether you're a staff member or a volunteer, please hear my deep words of gratitude and appreciation for what you bring to our worship life and the way you help all of us live our faith out. It is a big, big deal. I'm the son of a church musician, and so music has always been an important part of my life. And every week I am at church in worship, I give thanks for the incredible richness of our music ministry. I'm looking at my notes just to make sure I didn't forget anyone. Sam Craig, the quartet, the choirs, Aaron, Nora, the Staunch Brass, Chris. I think I've got, if I forgot you, I'm really sorry. I love you too. Let me just say that. This is the danger of having lists. Anyway, that's one thing I want to say. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. We are all grateful for your ministry. The other thing is a question. And this may lead to another either podcast or a sermon down the road. But I'd be interested in knowing from you, is there one particular piece of music that for you says, oh, this is Christmas, right? That sort of gets at the season more than any other piece or song or bit of music. And I'm going to lift up a couple things. I would be very hard pressed to limit it to one, but I'm going to lift up two songs that I've been listening to a lot. I happen to love vocal music. So one is actually seasonal. It's a very traditional Advent or Christmas hymn, Lo, How a Rose is Blooming, or Lo, How a Rose Ere Blooming. And there's one recording of it particularly. Again, we'll provide a link to this and maybe even have this in the soundtrack of this episode. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to work or not. But it's sung by Voices 8, which I believe is a British vocal ensemble. The piece itself is by Michael Pretorius, and it's in an arrangement by Jan Sandström, and I hope I'm not butchering that arranger's name. So that is one piece that is absolutely seasonal, and it's explicitly Christian. The other is a piece by one of my favorite vocal composers named Morten Lauridsen, an American composer. He died maybe in the last 5 or 10 years. He was the composer in residence of the Los Angeles Master Chorale, and there are some amazing performances of that ensemble of his music. But one piece in particular, this is actually a recording of the LA Master Chorale, is Sure on This Shining Night. And so that's actually a YouTube video, so we'll provide a link to that specific video. And by the way, I forgot to mention it, we'll also provide a link to last week's Lessons and Carols service here at St. Philip the Deacon. But I would commend both of those pieces to you if you're interested in listening to them. I don't know about you, but I find when I get stuck on a piece, I'll often listen to it ad nauseum, to the great frustration of my wife if I'm in the car with her. In fact, she just said this last week, we got to find some new music. Okay, let's find something else. Anyway, one of the many ways that she and I are wired differently, that's a subject for another podcast, though. I do love her very much, by the way. Anyway, I think that was all I wanted to say. Big thank you for the gift of music here, and then lift up a couple pieces I've been listening to and ask you, what would you recommend that we listen to at this time of year? What brings you joy? What brings you hope? What brings you peace musically? And I will look forward to hearing those responses. And as always, until next time, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.